I've spent 32 years carrying a weight I never asked for. And now I'm standing at a crossroads that could either set me free or break me completely. My dad's betrayal wasn't just a single moment, it was a lifetime of small cuts that left scars I'm still trying to understand. Growing up, my dad was a storm. Not the loud, raging kind, but the quiet, relentless type that wears you down until you're nothing but a shadow. He was a man of few words, but every one of them stung. I was never smart enough, never tough enough, never enough for him. I'd bring home a report card with straight A's, and he'd glance at it, grunt and say, "Your cousin Tommy would have gotten A+." Tommy, my cousin, was the golden child in Dad's eyes, athletic, charming. The son he wished he'd had. Meanwhile, I was the skinny kid who loved books and art, the one who'd rather sketch in a notebook than throw a football. Every time Dad compared me to Tommy, it was like he was carving another piece of me away. Mom tried to shield me, but she was stuck in her own battles with him. They'd argue late at night when they thought I was asleep, her voice sharp and pleading, his low and dismissive. "Why can't you just love him for who he is?" she'd cry. His answer was always silence. By the time I was a teenager, I'd learned to stop seeking his approval. I buried myself in my drawings, my stories, my own little world where I could be enough. But the hurt lingered, a dull ache that never quite went away. When I was 18, Mom got sick. Cancer. It was fast and cruel, and within a year she was gone. Losing her was like losing the only person who ever saw me. Dad didn't even try to comfort me. At her funeral, he stood stone-faced, shaking hands with relatives while I sat in the back, clutching one of her old scarves, trying not to fall apart. That's when I noticed Tommy there, standing next to Dad, his arm around him like they were father and son. I don't know why it hit me so hard, but seeing that Dad choosing Tommy over me even in that moment felt like a knife twisting in my chest. After Mom died, I moved out for college. I wanted distance, a fresh start. I worked 2 jobs to pay my way through art school, scraping by while Dad never offered a dime. I didn't expect him to. I'd learned long ago he didn't care enough to help. Still, I called him every few months, hoping maybe he'd soften, that he'd see me as his son instead of a disappointment. Those calls were always short. "You still drawing those pictures?" he'd ask, his tone dripping with disdain. "Tommy's working at the firm now, making real money." I'd hang up feeling smaller than ever. Fast forward to last year. I'm 32, living in a small apartment, working as a freelance illustrator. It's not glamorous, but I love what I do. I've built a life I'm proud of, even if it's not the one Dad wanted for me. Then I got the call. Dad had a heart attack. He was gone. I didn't cry, not at first. I felt numb, like I was floating outside my body. I drove back to my hometown for the funeral, expecting nothing but closure. That's when the real blow came. Dad's lawyer called me in for the reading of the will. I wasn't expecting much, maybe a few of Mom's old things, some photos, something to hold on to. Instead, I sat there, stunned, as the lawyer explained that Dad had left everything to Tommy. The house, the savings, the family cabin where I used to spend summers with Mom, it was all Tommy's now. I felt like I'd been slapped. "There must be a mistake," I said, my voice shaking. The lawyer shook his head. "Your father was clear. He wanted Tommy to have it." Tommy, sitting across the table, looked as shocked as I was. "I had no idea," he stammered, his face pale. "I didn't ask for this." But it didn't matter. The will was ironclad. Dad had made his choice, and it wasn't me. I walked out of that office feeling like I'd lost him all over again, not just his love, but any hope of being seen as his son. Here's where the twist comes in, and it's a weird one. A few weeks after the will reading, I got a letter in the mail. Not from Dad, but from Mom. Apparently, she'd left it with her best friend, Sarah, with instructions to give it to me after Dad passed. Sarah had been out of the country for years, which is why it took so long to reach me. The letter was like a punch to the gut and a warm hug all at once. In it, Mom wrote about how much she loved me, how proud she was of my art, my heart, my resilience. She apologized for not protecting me better from Dad's coldness. But then she dropped a bombshell. She'd set up a trust for me before she died. Hidden from Dad because she knew he'd never approve. It wasn't a fortune, but it was enough $200,000 enough to change my life. A down payment on a house, a chance to start my own studio, a cushion to chase my dreams. She'd done it in secret, knowing Dad would try to take it away or give it to Tommy. I sat there, reading her words, tears streaming down my face. For the first time in years, I felt like I wasn't alone. But the letter came with a catch. Mom wrote, "I know your father hurt you, but I hope you'll find a way to forgive him. Not for him, but for you. Don't let his choices define your heart." Those words haunted me. Forgive him? After everything? I couldn't wrap my head around it. Then Tommy reached out. He wanted to meet. I almost said no, but something in his voice, nervous, earnest, made me agree. We met at a coffee shop and he looked different. Tired. He told me he didn't want the inheritance. "It's not right," he said, pushing a folder across the table. Inside were the deeds to the house and cabin, signed over to me. "I know what your dad was like to you," he said. "I saw it growing up and I should have said something. I'm sorry." I was floored. Tommy, the golden child, was giving it all back. He didn't have to. He could have kept it, lived large, and never looked back. But he didn't. That's when he told me the rest. Tommy's life wasn't as perfect as Dad made it out to be. He'd struggled with addiction in his 20s, something Dad never mentioned. The perfect job at the firm? He'd been fired last year for missing too many days. Tommy was trying to rebuild, and he said keeping the inheritance felt like profiting off my pain. "I don't want to be that guy," he said, his eyes red. "I want to make this right. Now I'm at the crossroads. I have Mom's trust, enough to start fresh. I have the house and cabin, thanks to Tommy's unexpected decency. But I also have Mom's words ringing in my ears. Forgive Dad. Part of me wants to hold on to the anger. It's been my armor for so long. Letting it go feels like betraying the kid who spent years begging for a father's love. But another part of me wonders if Mom was right. Maybe forgiveness isn't about Dad deserving it, but about me finally being free. There's one more thing. Tommy asked if we could split the cabin, use it together like we did as kids. He says he wants to rebuild not just his life but our relationship. I don't know if I'm ready for that. He's not the villain I made him out to be, but he's still tied to so much pain. Do I let him in? Do I forgive Dad? Do I keep the house and cabin for myself? Or share them with someone who's trying to make amends? I've spent my whole life being defined by Dad's choices. Now it's my turn to make one, and I'm terrified of getting it wrong. So, Reddit, AITA for wanting to keep everything for myself after years of being pushed aside? Or should I take Mom's advice, forgive Dad, and give Tommy a chance? I'm standing at the edge of something big, and I don't know which way to jump.